And the president says he knows the people who are corrupt in offices, but he's simply collecting evidence to bring them to court.
The ones who bribe your people, they come and tell me, only that I don't have enough evidence to arrest you, but I know many of you who are corrupt. So if you see that I have not arrested you, don't think that you are safe. I'm just waiting for enough evidence.
The Deputy Speaker told the President he should be the first to change.
Let's cut the pretense, Mr. President. Let's stop being corrupt.
Hello, Uganda. Are you ready? Should it begin? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that some of you might think that I just love criticizing the government. But the truth is, if you put yourself in a position that cannot allow you to be mentally seduced by events like the anti-corruption walk, that you can also challenge those events. In fact, I was so happy when most Ugandans came out to show their frustration towards this event. Yadenga, some of you used mockery, most especially against the president, saying that the chief walker is actually the king of corruption in the country. I am not going to use that line. I am, however, going to tell you why that the speech the president made that day is never going to work in the country that he claims to be leading. Because he has said this before. He has said this day in and day out. Which is why I am going to refer to a man that most of you call Hussein Janjo, or Honorable Hussein Janjo, which in my opinion, he should be called Dr. Hussein Janjo.
It with other countries. First and foremost, if you want to get away from corruption, you must not practice nepotism, you must not practice tribalism, because the danger with that is when Kamara is your nephew, you place him in a position, he gets corrupt, you want to chase him out of that position. Relatives will come at night. You say, this is what you know, the father of Kamara did a lot to you when you were still a student. You can't chase him away, and your hands will be tied. That's how we have come into this abyss, because there are very many relatives to the president, and in cabinet alone, they are over 15%. Actually 20, more than 20% in cabinet are relative to the president.
Nepotism can be defined as the use of power or influence to gain unfair advantages for your family, for yourself, or even your friends. And we have seen this happening in the country day in and day out. Day in and day out. And to defend this, I want to use an example of a man that most of you have been talking about in the past week and probably this week, Bantariza. I am sorry I'm not going to call him Kano or whatever, because when I was growing up, I used to give respect to soldiers because of what they used to stand for, not because of who they are standing for. And when you look closely, some soldiers in the country, in Uganda, are standing for Museveni, not for the country, not for the people of Uganda. Now, Bantariza was once arrested on fraud charges.
Shaban is charged with fraud under Section 176 of the UPDF Act, tampering with documents Section 173, and conspiracy to defraud under Section 309.
It is alleged that Shaban committed the crimes when he was working as the director of the National Institute of Leadership at Chankwanzi between 2000 and 2011.
It is also alleged that part of the institution's budget, to the tune of 1 billion shillings, was diverted to his private account.
But he was later acquitted. There was no evidence.
Colonel Shaban Bantariza looked calm as he went before the 7-member panel of the General Court Martial led by Major General Levi Karuhanga. Bantariza was waiting for judgment in a case where he has been charged with forgery, ill treatment of his subordinates and embezzling 67 million shillings, claiming it was for purchasing a tractor, which had been in fact donated to the National Leadership Institute Chankwanzi, where he was director. The court acquitted Bantariza of all the charges after the prosecution failed to prove that he was guilty.
Now, I want you to listen carefully. On the same day that Bantariza was arrested, Ofono Pondo said the investigation was full, which meant that the evidence was there. To be prosecuted.
And that investigation, I was told, are complete. So it's the reason he was
Then what happened, ladies and gentlemen? What happened? The same thing that happened that day when Bantariza got arrested is the same thing that will happen if Eli Tumwine gets arrested. It's the same thing that happened when Sam Kutesa was trying to be ngabamgezako okumufuna until yabba sent. It's the same thing that would happen if Jim Muhwezi was arrested. It's the same thing that would happen if Bajenda was arrested. Now, forget this intimidation that they use. Forget this. They use violence as a source of intimidation towards Ugandans who are asking them legitimate questions just so that they deny them legitimate answers. You can see.
Ekyagala okutuzaayo kutuzza gye twava mundu zange weeziri wali nze mbeera na ssatu ni mundu ssatu.
Now, what Bantariza is saying, I want you to put yourself in a position or think about this. If it was anyone else saying those exact statements, if it was maybe Honorable Kyagulanyi or Dr. Kizza Besigye, they would treason right now. But because these people no longer have answers for the legitimate questions we are asking them, they are choosing to use arrogancy. And you know, if you ask them, you can find out that they are actually thinking, or they think that arrogancy can be defined as a character of intelligence, which is not true. Because to me, in my opinion, arrogancy can be defined as a character of someone who is actually scared to admit that they are in wrong or they have a weakness. Which is why, if you look closely, in the health sector, that we are suffering because of the corruption. If you look closely, we are suffering because of the corruption. Why would we have the most expensive road? Why? We all know it is not. Because we all know. If you look closely in many sectors, the education sector, corruption. Do you know what the president does when he finds out that you stole money from some position that he put you in? He changes positions. Now ministry, or in a position, he gets you out of this position and puts you in another position. Ladies and gentlemen, Bantariza again. Now, if Bantariza was able okugezako okola fraud on an amount that was so little those days, how about if he's watching, if he's seeing, overseeing all this money in front of him? What do you think he would do? And if you bring evidence against him, he will intimidate you. He will use violence to intimidate you. That you can also believe because yakiraze mu public.
Nti abakasukaali bagenda akasukaali fe aba NRM tetukozesa akasukaali kokka tukozesa muliro.
You ask them legitimate questions, they should remind you of how they went to the bush. You ask them, why are you stealing? They tell you of how much they fought. Which means, if we want to stop corruption, Museveni must go. If we want to bring proper health care, Museveni must go. If we want to bring proper education, Museveni must go. If we want to have roads that are valuable, Museveni must go. If we want to earn back our respect as a nation, Museveni must go. If we want justice, Museveni must go. Ladies and gentlemen, these people have all the sources. They control most of the media, which means the only media that we have is the one that you are using right now. So use it favorably. Share messages like this. Because guess what? The day I realized that I do not have to be funded to speak for my country, you should also realize that you don't have to be funded to share this message. My name is Fahad Amin Sobuga. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
It's not enough. Let me give you a story. When Mchana Kalma had been appointed in the office around 2 months, I called that office. They showed the number, so I used that number and called the office of Mchana Kalma. Right? She was not the one picking the phone. An assistant called, picked the phone and told me, you can come to Parliament. We have an office near Parliament. I told him I cannot come to Parliament because my matter is between myself and you in secret. Right? He said, okay, I will call you. I'm going to inform Madam Nakalima and we shall call you. It is going to a year now.
They have never called
you?